Hello, everyone. Welcome back to SportsBeat on WOUB. Thank you for tuning in. I'm your host, Jake Collins, and with me at the table is
Reece Merkel,
Jamey Spears,
Cavin,
Conor Mallonn.
Plenty of news to talk about for both college and professional sports. Here are our topics for today. We begin with OU men's and women's basketball, including how they are shaping up in the MAC standings down the home stretch of the season. Then we go into softball, who begins their regular season this weekend, along with other headlines in OU sports, including the new logo reveal. Then we jump into another Super Bowl preview before we cover the biggest news across professional leagues, before ending with a busy Cavs segment, upset watch, and our awards. SportsBeat starts right now. Guys, welcome back to the table. And of course, to begin, we go with men's basketball. And before we kind of go into the recap of these two games, Ohio lost 4 of their 5 games prior to these two matchups. What did we see in this one, Reece? How were they able to bounce back with the victory?
So in Buffalo, they dominated this game. It was a very important conference game, 95-83 for the final, giving them Bobcats the win. Also gave them the season sweep. Javen scored a season high of 24, also grabbed a season high of 13 boards, and a season high of 34 minutes. Pav also had a nice little game with a double-double, 16 points and 11 assists. You know, we saw a lot of offensive production from this game, and something that needs to continue for the rest of the season down the stretch.
Yeah, and I think the biggest telling point for me is you had 2 players who had double-doubles, and then Aiden Hadaway, who also was a rebound away from a double-double. So nearly 3 players on the team had production in multiple aspects of the game. And it kind of goes back to what Logan was saying last week, how Javen really hasn't played that bully ball down in the paint that we were really hoping for how big and strong he is. But this was his best game to date as a Bobcat. What'd you guys think?
You really just love to see it. And, I mean, looking back to the last time that Ohio took on Buffalo, that was a game that was spent pretty much entirely at the free throw line. Each of these teams were just beating the tar out of each other, and now you've got another matchup where no technical fouls this time, which you love to see, but not only do they come out early, but they stay on top for a good portion of this game.
And especially, I mean, like you mentioned, the free throws, they've been better in terms of shooting. They are still kind of struggling when it comes to the three-point shooting. They went 5 for 19 in this game against Buffalo. But just overall, I mean, you look at the shooting totals, Aiden Hadaway shot 9 for 11. Javen Simmons shot 10 for 16. J.J. Kelly was 6 for 13. And then you had some point production there with Kier Kawani and Jesse Burris. This is exactly what we're talking about. Use the bench more. That's kind of what we wanted from Jeff Bowles. Go ahead and use the bench a little more. He's done that in the last couple games, and it really paid off here in this second match with Buffalo. But when it comes to the Western Michigan game, Reece, I mean, it just seemed like Ohio carried the momentum from the Bulls game to the Broncos game. And how did they do it?
You know, they came back out into the convo in their famous Brazil night, scored back-to-back 90-plus games, 91-71 for the game total. Javen and Pav both led with 17. Javen had 7 boards, Pav had 8 assists. Pav showed a little bit of his inner SGA. He went going 10 from 10 from the charity stripe. Both teams got a tech last night. Their coach for Western Michigan got one, and then J.J. Kelly grabbed his first tech of his career, and he also fouled out later in the game. Defense was a lot better. They held 4 out of the 5 starters to under double digits. 3 out of 11 players for Western Michigan scored double-digit points. Jaden Brewer had 20, and then coming off the bench, Jalen Griffith had 19. But really, it was that charity stripe. Western Michigan shot 40% from free throws.
Yeah, I mean, it was a struggle for him the entire time in the first half, and it only trickled into the second half. But to go back to the OU side of things, I think, first of all, for any Ohio fans, it's comforting. You're looking at your 5 starters. They all had 10-plus points, and that is just something that night in and night out, that's what you're going to need, especially when we're talking about the late stretch of the season when you're about to go into a Max Sunbelt Challenge game, and then also you have Miami twice for the latter half of the year, for the final 10 games. But what offensively for anybody at the table, what does the Bobcats basketball team need to improve upon to kind of cap out and finish this regular season?
I mean, I feel like you touched on it a little bit earlier. The three-point shooting has not been something that has been consistently good all season long. I mean, look at that game against Western Michigan. Yeah, they put up 90-some points. They beat them by 20, but they shot 13 for 32 from three. Not like picture-perfect shooting from them. I just think the outside game has got to be smarter. We can't just keep chucking shots. Like, they can't keep just chucking shots, which I know it's been an issue in the past couple of years. Like, they'll play really good, and then they'll just have a game where they shoot 4 for 20 from three.
I was about to say, I'm looking at the team game by game stats, and I mean these past couple weeks, it's 25%, it's 24%, 22%, 27%. This recent game against Western Michigan, I believe, was only one of 4 in this regular season where they shot 40% or better. So when you think of teams like Miami and Kent State and Buffalo, they could shoot 50% nearly in half their games. I mean, there's a reason why Miami's top 3 in the country. But when it comes to just other perspectives, or what else needs to improve for the Bobcats?
I mean, I was going to go back to that 3-point. I did a little bit of math earlier, and they're jacking up about 22 threes per game, which I feel like they should attack the basket more, give the ball down to Javen, maybe rotate in Aiden Evans and Kier to attack the basket a little bit more too, get some of the taller guys so we can play a little bit more bully ball.
And another thing that I noticed, I believe, for the Western Michigan game was A.J. Sheldon was the leading scorer after 20 minutes of action. And he wasn't able to kind of carry that momentum into the second half because, Pav kept getting to the free throw line. Javen was playing bully ball down low, and Hadaway was just making every single jump shot. But I think A.J. Sheldon has so much more room to improve as a player and as a scorer. Do we think he could kind of be that second or third option in the near future, or even be someone who's like a dark horse who comes out of nowhere and comes up big?
I would say more of a dark horse, because Buffalo, looking back at it, he scored just 8 points. And then coming back into this Western Michigan game, he's going 4 for 5 and scoring 12. So I feel like he can be more of that dark horse instead of, like the third, fourth option.
Yeah, I mean, I agree as well, Reece. But when it comes to the MAC standings, and I'm also going to put this on the screen for you watching on YouTube. But as we look into the MAC standings, of course, Miami, Ohio, undefeated at 23-0, becomes the first team to clinch a MAC tournament spot, followed by Akron, Kent State, and then Ohio, who sits there in 4th. So when it comes to the final regular season games, I believe there's only 8 more regular season games, 7 more for the Bobcats. 6 of them are in conference play. What is the path look like for the Bobcats?
Yeah, like you said, only 6 more. OU has 6 more games left in conference play. Realistically, you only need about 1 to 2 more wins to feel like that you're in. But they should probably try and think about getting the 3 or 4 seed. Road is pretty tough. You got Miami twice. You got a home and home. You got Toledo at home. In the Jeff Bowles era, he's 1 and 12 now against Toledo. And then you go at UMass. You got mid-tier MAC team, but they can still compete. And then you have Ball State at home, and then you're going right back on the road to Northern Illinois.
Yeah, and like you mentioned, I mean, it's the bigger picture, right? Like, you want to be that 3 or that 4 seed. Did you have something to say, Noah?
Yeah, you don't want to overlook those Ball State and NIU games, right? Ball State beat them on the road earlier in the year, and then they're going to an NIU team that almost beat them earlier in the year. So just, you can't really sleep for any of these 6 games. It's a tough road to clinch that top 4 seed.
Yeah, I think even the biggest problem is, like, even if you get a 3 or a 4 seed, you're going to face a good team no matter what. And if it's a team like Toledo, they like we mentioned, Ohio has always struggled against Toledo in the Jeff Bowles era. They've also struggled against Kent State, who could also be a 3, 4, or 5 seed. So it's just terrible from Ohio's perspective because it's like the 1 and the 2 seed are just so far out of reach. I mean, if you look at the standings, there's 7 and 5. The second seed Akron is 10-1, and there is like no chance that Miami and Akron build up 2 or 3 more losses. I mean, it really looks like it. Those are the 2 top favorites. But when it comes back to Ohio, I mean, you got to think you want to be that 3 seed just to ease up the path anyway. But if the standings if the standings remain the same and Ohio gets a 3 seed, you're probably going to play Akron in the second round.
I think Akron's better than Miami. I know Miami beat Akron in the first game, but I truly think Akron's shooting, Akron's big men play has been really good this season. I mean, I don't know if you guys saw the game the other day. Bowen Hardman hit a game-winning shot for Akron to lift them past, I think, Buffalo.
Was it? I think it was the Eastern.
Maybe Eastern.
Michigan,
Yeah. You're right. And, I mean, they just are so well-depth. I mean, Evan Mahaffey and his younger brother, I mean, they're just so good.
And I mean, that actually goes back to Logan. Logan last week pretty much kind of said the same thing. Like, if you look at all those analytics, like KenPom, they always have, like, Akron above. And, you know, anytime that these, like, journalists or broadcasters or podcasters bring up Miami, they always tag along Akron because I think, like you mentioned, Jamey, I think they like Akron more than Miami, but at the same time, in the only matchup that they're going to play in the regular season, Miami won that game. So that's going to be the deciding factor between the 1 and the 2. But I really think, I mean, yeah, there's a case to be made with Akron.
I mean, this is the first time in how long the MAC is being looked at being a 2-bid league for the tournament?
Probably not a single time in this century, to be honest. I mean, we would have to go back in the rankings or, you know, the archives and the history books. But, yeah, Miami, I mean, if you could get 1 or 2 losses max, including a conference title loss in the tournament, I mean, they have to put them as like 11 or 12 play-in team.
Well, even then, like, I don't see how you leave Miami out at this point, right? If Miami finishes the season 31-0 or 30-0, and then they end up going and losing in the first round, like a disaster, they lose to the 8 seed, do you still leave them out? I think no.
I don't think so. I mean, they always want to bring up the strength of schedule, but I think college basketball now, it's like you always have these invitationals, you always have these classics. It's always the best teams, quad 1 teams playing against each other. It just doesn't leave that room open for all these MAC schools to play them. So like you mentioned, I mean, why leave them out? But then again, I remember, I don't know, like 5 to 10 years ago, there was like a St. Mary's team that was like 28-2, and they got left out. And that was when the West Coast Conference was kind of building itself. So it's like, you got to give a little bit more respect to these mid-majors and at least give them that play-in opportunity if Miami were to miss out. But when it comes to, I guess, you know, we talked about the recaps, we talked about conference standings. OU does have one game in the next week. Who do they got, Reece?
They're traveling to Old Dominion. At the time of recording, Old Dominion is going to be playing Louisiana Monroe at 7 p.m. You know, they'll be hosting the Bobcats this Saturday, kicking off round 2 of the MAC Sunbelt Challenge. The MAC controlled round 1, winning 9-13, winning 9 out of 13 games. Old Dominion played Miami in round 1, giving the MAC that win. Ohio played Arkansas State, with Arkansas State winning that one. Old Dominion is sitting at 12th in the Sunbelt, just behind Louisiana. The Monarchs are shooting 33% from behind the arc, so the Bobcats are really going to have to rely on that interior defense in this game. It's going to be very important, this game. I have this one highlighted on my calendar for, you know, to keep this hot streak going for when they travel to Miami on the 13th.
Yeah, and we can't spend a whole lot more time on this Old Dominion game, but I do agree. It gets to the point where it's like, okay, yes, it's not a conference game. It doesn't mean as much, but you definitely want to build up that momentum and that confidence, especially when you're on a current win streak right now. And it's kind of like you mentioned, Old Dominion's ranked low in the Sun Belt, so they're on par with Northern Illinois, Ball State, these teams that you're about to play. They can't take this team lightly. I mean, you got to continue to build up that momentum. But when it comes to Ohio women's basketball now for our next segment, they've kind of hit a cold spell by losing to some of the best teams in the conference. Jamey, what do we see from UMass last Wednesday?
Now, this has been a while since I've been on SportsBeat, but I feel like this women's team has surprised me all season long. I really never expected them to be, good. At the end of the day. But they started out really hot, going up 21-16 in the first quarter. I think rebounding was the issue. They got out-rebounded 39-27. They only lost this game by 9, but playing in the Convo, you have to win those games, especially in MAC play. These games are crucial when it comes down to it. It determines who gets in and who doesn't in the MAC tournament. A good team from the MAC, so not really a whole lot to hang their head about. Besides, you just got to win those convo games. You got to do whatever you can to win those home games. The Bailey Tamerlane had a rough game, shooting 1 for 9 from 3. You need her to shoot about 35% from 3 to put them in a good spot to win. 1 for 9 just isn't going to cut it. But Gigi Bauer was a highlight in this game. She ended with 17 points. But I think that Ohio just needs to reset. They had 2 games this week. We're about to go into the next one. But I just think they need to reset.
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest thing was, the three-point shooting just wasn't up to par. We talked about that Bowling Green game where they shot nearly 60% from three-point. They were just knocking them down. And then they come back against UMass and they hit 35%, which isn't bad. I think just the biggest problem with it is you took nearly 40 shots from beyond the arc and you only hit 13. So I think that's exactly the reason why they lost. But also, UMass had a lot of second chance opportunities, like you mentioned. And even then, to go into the next game, they kind of let those losses in that cold spell trickle into the Miami game.
Yeah, that Miami game, they went on to face the number 1 team in the MAC. You can't get better than that in Miami, in Oxford. So Miami has both of the top 2 teams in their conferences, respectively. Both of these Miami teams, like I just said, are really good. Another lead early in the first, then in the second, they got outscored 27-11. That put them in a deep hole, and it's hard to dig out of that. I don't know if you guys ever played basketball, but it's really hard to come back from being down 16 points. And then unless you're really shooting 60-70%, especially with a talented team like this Redhawks. But Bailey Tamerlane did shoot 3 for 6 from 3, good efficiency. But if she's shooting 50%, she has to shoot more. She has to feel everything she can, and they're so selective with their shots because they were playing a good team. But shooting well is how you take down these top teams. They ended up taking the loss 90-70, which is a pretty high scoring game for a MAC.
And now for their next game, actually, they are actually going to be playing tonight here in about 30 minutes or so at the time of this recording against Western Michigan. But for the next games, they also have Old Dominion, once again, just like the men's team in the MAC and Sunbelt Challenge, then Toledo on Tuesday. But to go into more of like the conference standings, like we kind of talked about for the men's basketball team, Ohio is currently sitting 6th at a 6-4 record. And it's, those losses that they picked up recently, the past couple game against Miami, who's ranked 1st, they're undefeated. UMass is ranked 3rd at 7-2. Kind of what does their path look like for the rest of the year?
I think bare minimum they need to win 3 games. They have Western Michigan, Kent State, Bowling Green, and Miami at home. I think all of those games are crucial. Like I said, you have to win these home games at your home place in the MAC. So if they can beat Western Michigan, Kent State, and knock off Bowling Green, I think they will be perfect going down the line.
Yeah, and not like we have to mention as well, you said they only need about 2 or 3 games to win, and that will put you at 9 wins. And you could go below 500 in conference play and slip in to the top 8 for the MAC tournament. But Ohio, you just got to survive the end of the season, right? Because, it's been a couple years since you made the MAC tournament. Their last year was rough. You only had 6 total wins. The year before, I believe they only had, 9 to 12 wins. You just got to find your way back into the MAC tournament. And it's, the transfers that have done phenomenal. Bailey Tamerlane, one of the returning stars, has been shooting lights out. I know she kind of struggled a little bit against Miami and UMass, but, do we think this team's kind of building itself as a contender with the transfer portal?
I really think so. I think they've done everything they can this offseason to get the talent they need. When you look at it, you go in, you make the MAC championship or MAC tournament, anybody can win. You can be a 6 seed. You can knock off whoever. You can knock off whoever you need to be, and then you go face Miami in the championship, and you win it. Now you just unlock the path to the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, and it's going to be interesting to see. Actually, the mindset is you got to take it 1 game at a time, especially with their next conference game on Tuesday is going to be against Toledo. Toledo is 6-3, and they're ranked 5th. So that's almost like a tournament game in the way of just trying to climb up the standings. And if you're able to win, 4 or 5 of your final 8 games, you could find yourself in that 3 and 4 seed. They're still within reach to maybe get that 2 seed. They're going to have to rely on Ball State or Miami to really hit a cold spell. But even then, I mean, you could find yourself in the 3 to the 6 seed, much like the men's team. But to go now to our next OU sport, Ohio softball is back. 5 games this weekend for the softball squad. Plenty of new faces, a lot to reload from last year's team, who was just phenomenal. And before we get into the previews of who they play, Noah, kind of summarize the list to the listeners on what's changed for this team.
All right. So, I mean, first off, I do want to say we would be doing the team a disservice if we did not address the fact that these new uniforms they have are awesome.
Oh, the pinstripes?
The pinstripes, they're so good.
Clean. I need to get. Oh.
Dude, honestly, you sell those in the bookstore, everybody be wearing them.
Yep.
But for the season, obviously the big departure, Anna Wise, right? She was the second option behind Skip Miller last year. Pretty consistently good. She transferred to Louisville, unfortunately. We wish her all the success that she can have there at Louisville. And the big issue for OU is they didn't have a lot of hitting production last year, and the hitting production that they did have graduated, right? Emma Hoffner, Maddie Wilcox, Lauren Uhas, CC Keitel, they're all gone. Those 4 were all top 5 in RBI. And then Uhas and Hoffner, they're both, they combined for 32 of the team's 54 stolen bases last year. So they're losing a lot of production both at the plate and on the bags. So, but I don't think that's something that we should really be too concerned about, because right now they're ranked 2nd in the MAC coaches preseason poll, only behind Miami. And they're actually tied with Miami for the most votes for tournament champions. They both got 5 votes. I think there was a couple other that got 1 apiece. So, the coaches around the MAC know this team is still legit. And I'll tell you why. Pitching room, still stacked, right? Last year, lowest ERA in the MAC by far, 2.54. The next best was about 2.9. So this team's defense was consistently good, and they're bringing back most of that production defensively. Skip Miller, defending MAC Pitcher of the Year, 19-8, 2.68 ERA, 124 strikeouts last season. You just simply cannot hit that, right? She is unstoppable. And the one thing that I'm wanting to see from this, pitching unit this year, Mickey leaving, right? Last season, she took a step back. Her freshman year, she was really, really productive in the pitching department. She was still productive last year when she was called on to pitch. But Anna Wise took that step up. Now that she's gone, Mickey's got to take that step up and, fill that gap that was there. And I don't necessarily think that that's going to be something too.
Yeah, I mean, like you mentioned, Mickey, and we kind of talked about it when we were kind of script writing this beforehand, that's an important second position for the starting role, because it always feels like Skip Miller has been the number 1 for the last 2 or 3 years. So there's a lot of wear and tear on that shoulder, and you just don't know at any point when the shoulder could give out or the body could kind of just take over and do things and take your best player out. I mean, she is, without a doubt, one of the best pitchers in mid-major softball. And you can't have Skip Miller play every single game, especially when they have this upcoming weekend series where they're supposed to play 5 games against some pretty strong teams. But when it comes to just other players in terms of hitting, what needs to improve upon there? Because like you mentioned, they lost some big names. Uhas, Keitel, Emma Hoffner. Who's going to step in and pick it up?
Well, obviously you have your 2 All-MAC selections in Brenna Farmer and Abby Kennelly. Farmer last year was incredible. 392 batting average, 996 OPS. She's a slap hitter, so just a lot of getting on base stuff. And really across as a whole for the team, only 12 homers hit last year. That was, I believe, 2nd worst in the MAC. I don't really expect that to change, though. I expect this team to be a more get-on-base team, rely with what you've got, getting on the bags. And it's been a consistent strategy for them, and it's worked. So you have Farmer and Kennelly coming back. There's some other returners. Izzy Wilson, she started last year. She was really, really good. A couple that didn't necessarily start all season long, and Colleen Bear and Sydney Young, they're both going to take some steps up. In the games that Bear did play, 333 batting average. She's ridiculous. Those 2 are going to make a huge impact. And then OU brought in 3 transfers this offseason. You have Riley McDaniel. She's an infielder from San Francisco State. She was D2. She was D2 CCA, All-West Region first team. She was All CCAA first team. Hit 12 homers, batted .338. So she alone hit as much homers as the team did last year. So obviously that's a huge get. Then we have Kylie Gorsuch. She's catcher from Cleveland State. Started all 90 games that she played in at Cleveland State. She had 252 batting average, 4 homers, 23 RBIs over the span of 2 years. Then we have Haley Massaro. She was at OSU, transferred to East Carolina, batted 258, 3 homers, 12 RBIs in her 2 years at ECU. She was a pinch hitter last year, but this time I think she'll probably take a big step up in her role.
Yeah, I mean, I think the most exciting one of these transfers that you just mentioned is McDaniel. Like you mentioned, this team needs that power. They do a great job slap hitting, stealing bases, getting people on base, but you just got to drive them in by not just on contact alone, but power. I mean, you want to clear all those bases.
And this is like McDaniel is the perfect fit for OU system, right? We're like OU is not allowing people to cross the plate whatsoever, right? As a team, 2.54 ERA. That is unbelievable. Now you're getting somebody who's going to generate runs on the other side. This is just it's the perfect fit.
You know, watching this team a lot last year, like you said, the pitching, it was out of this world. But I feel like if they can take some of the pitching and give it to the hitting, and kind of have that balance, I think they could probably win the MAC championship.
You're kind of saying like within the coaching aspect of it, just kind of like developing the hitting a little bit.
Yeah, kind of, yeah, like that.
I also don't even think that you need to like the pitching can stay as is, right? If the pitching is consistent as it was last season, and then you just ramp up the offensive side of things, this team is probably going to be not only a MAC contender, but this could be a team that we have to watch out for in the Women's College World Series.
Yeah, I mean, remember they were one game away. They had 2 opportunities to take Miami out in the MAC tournament finale, and they didn't. I mean, Miami's just too good of a team. So I guess now going into this season now, kind of give us a preview for the 3 teams that they're going to face at the Founders Classic.
All right, so they got one game against St. Francis. St. Francis was decent last year. They were 26-26. But across the board for St. Francis, this is their last season in Division I athletics. They recently announced that they're going to be dropping all the way down to D3 in every sport that they have, and as a result, you saw a mass exodus in football, basketball, softball, baseball. Every sport they have had a lot of transfers out. I'm interested to see just how much that's going to impact their year. They went from being 26-26, like team kind of competing in their conference. Do they fall all the way to the bottom now? We'll see. Their next 2 games, they've got Towson. Towson wasn't really a big threat last year, 23-29. This is a good chance for OU to get things rolling, because if you start 3-0 going into this next 2 games, it's going to be fun, because their last team that they're going to be playing is South Carolina Upstate. USC Upstate last year was really, really good. They made the Women's College World Series. They were in a regional with Clemson, Kentucky, and Northwestern. And they did lose to Clemson and Kentucky and got bounced pretty early, but they dominated their conference. They got there off of insane pitching. 45th in all of the country in ERA last year. This is absolutely the test that the Bobcats need to prove to not only the MAC, but the country that they are legit and they can make some noise.
Yeah, I mean, this is going to be awesome to see. That USC Upstate series is really going to be telling to see, where they rank among the best mid-major programs. And, it's going to be fun, but it's going to be interesting to see how that weather is down in the Carolinas, because it has been cold down there. It's been freezing. But to now go into our next segment, and is actually something that not really on the athletic side, but just the university side, and it is a new logo reveal. Ohio University has announced new university logos, so check out on your screens as you wish, as the new logo is set to be active in August of 2026. What do we think of this, guys? Well, I mean, what's our reaction to this?
I mean, when I saw this logo change, I quite literally threw up in my mouth. If I'm being honest, I do not like the logo change at all. I mean, when you put the Bobcat in front of it and you expand the O's, it looks terrible. I always liked the old logo. I always liked, the vintage Rufus that you have, like the keychain that you can get. I'm more of an old guy, like old timer guy, I guess, if you want to say that. So this new logo is kind of eh.
As someone who has spent an unspeakable amount of time doing graphics and graphic design and working in Photoshop, the one thing that just annoys me to no end with this new logo is you have, like, the original, it's Ohio and Ohio University. And with this new one, it's Ohio, and then you're just going to slap a logo in front of it, and you're going to take the font and, like, squeeze it up behind the logo,
Yeah.
and it doesn't work. It's not consistent, it's not clean, and it looks like it was a first-year graphic design student's, like, third attempt at trying something neat, and they just threw in the towel.
And I think, the most tricky part is definitely that H, but I kind of do like the Bobcat logo. I like the newer Bobcat logo compared to the older version, but actually I kind of want to talk about what you mentioned with the spacing of the letters yesterday.
Well, yeah, the spacing of the letters is completely off, right? It's not consistent. The spacing between the H and the I is much more narrow than the O and the other letters. But on top of that, the one thing that I'm most concerned about with this logo change, right? I love the fact that the university is wanting to combine their athletic and their academic logo. A lot of successful universities have done this, and they've built a brand. I love the idea of creating a brand with our logo. However, OU just got a basketball court. OU just made several new renovations. Now they're going to have to completely redo logos in Peden Stadium. They're going to have to redo logos in the Convo. They're going to have to redo logos everywhere on this campus. This will cost millions of dollars. The athletics office was not given the first warning of this. The board of trustees just did this and left athletics in the dark. It's completely dirty work from the university to do this behind their back.
And you have to work with Adidas, Nike, whoever the new athletic sponsorship deal is going to be, to create new jerseys around a logo that you've had no time to prep around, which is just going to throw everybody in the dark. And you've got a football season with a pretty successful team and a brand new coach that now you've got a whole workaround with these jerseys that's just going to be a massive pain.
Yeah, I'm going to be honest. I didn't even realize the difference until Connor pointed it out. So I think it's weird. Like, if you look at the H, like on the logo, why is it so much higher than like the actual logo below it?
I mean, they just squeezed it. Like Connor mentioned, they
I just don't like that.
I guess if they didn't, then it would just look, I don't know, maybe like two more eyes from that perspective.
Maybe.
Yeah, but they could have lowered it just like a little bit so you could see the top half or something.
And it goes back to what Noah said. For my personal opinion, for the actual like university logos where it just says Ohio and University, I'm like, yeah, that's probably a worse logo. The athletic logos, it doesn't change a whole bit. But it's the fact that it costs that much money.
Yes.
And it's like those minute changes that you made are going to cost that much million. I think I've heard like 5 million.
Yes.
Could be the number. That is just a waste of space, waste of money.
What I don't understand, right? The Ohio logo, the attack cat on the font, has been consistent for years. If you wanted a brand, why not just take what we had for athletics and move that to the university? I don't see the issue with that at all, right? Now you're just creating and the fact is, it's not even that much different, really. It's slightly different. I don't like the slight differences, but it's not that big of a change. And you're making the athletics office pay upwards of $4 or $5 million for a font change. It's ridiculous.
It's too pricey, way too pricey. And I mean, it's just how it's going to be. I mean, the logo is going to be active in August, and that's it. So now all the athletics and all the university schools involved, they're just going to have to cooperate with that change and just going to have to take it off the chin. But now to go to kind of like an Ohio University news and kind of quick hit headlines where we give a quick spotlight to other OU sports, and we're kind of going to rattle them off real quick. Wrestling lost to Central Michigan 23-10. This included the biggest matchup where Central Michigan's Mason Schrader beat Ohio's Derek Rake in the 157-pound weight class, as the two boys are whispering. And this was the only match where it was against two nationally ranked wrestlers. Ohio will face Kent this Friday. Ohio will then go out west to Oxford for the swimming and diving team. It's actually the diving team only. Ohio will try to bounce back from the first loss of the season, as Ohio is 5-1. And then another thing, the next news is Ohio Club Hockey just got swept by Niagara in a 2-game series. Both teams were ranked in the top 5. Ohio is still ranked second, and they will play Canisius this weekend in Bird Arena. And then, of course, men's golf team will return, and they'll play in Texas early next week. I mean, I saw the weather. It's going to be like 70 degrees. They're going to be out on the greens in their shorts, and I mean, what do we think? I wish I could wear shorts right now.
Must be nice.
It hit above freezing today for the first time in what, 3 weeks?
Something like that.
Yeah,
Yep.
and the snow's not going to melt anytime soon.
It snowed again.
I mean,
Yay.
it's going to be 50 here soon. I mean,
Hey, but I mean, for the golf team, enjoy the weather. It's going to be beautiful. You're going to be in Texas. I think the lowest it's going to get is like 65. I mean, they're just going to enjoy. I believe it starts Monday down there in Texas. But now we're going to go to the professional side of things. Super Bowl is just days away. We kind of previewed it last week with our on-air talent, but now we're going to cover it once again. And I guess, well, should we start with the Pro Bowl? What do we think of the Pro Bowl?
It's why do we?
We used
do
to be
this?
a real country.
Yeah, it's why
We
do
used to have a
do
real
this?
Pro Bowl.
Like I miss the Pro Bowl. I miss seeing all of like the best athletes in the NFL get on the field and actually play a game that meant something. Like, maybe it didn't mean anything, but it was fun. It was good. Like I remember watching, as a Saints fan, watching Drew Brees the year that Drew Brees, Michael Thomas, Kamara, Cameron Jordan. There's a picture of them all in Orlando. I mean, just insane memories from the old Pro Bowls. I understand that we can't keep doing Pro Bowls this way because of player safety and that nobody wants to risk millions of dollars for a game that doesn't mean anything. I understand it. But what I'm saying, at what point do we just call a spade and quit? Because I haven't looked at the viewership rankings, but I cannot imagine that they were very high.
I mean, especially since they've been in the flag football era of the Pro Bowl, I can't imagine it's entertaining outside of people who are like 12 years old and younger.
I actually like the Pro Bowl just because the Bengals had Joe Flacco and Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase and T. Higgins be in the Pro Bowl. So I really like the dodgeball aspect of the Pro Bowl. I think it's pretty cool.
Well, yeah, I think the games are fun. Yeah,
It's like look at the All-Star weekend in the NBA, right? Like the game is different. We'll set the game aside, right? You got the dunk contest, you got the three-point contest, you got the skills challenge. Those are all three fun. Those are all three stuff that people will want to watch. The NFL's got to find a way to compete with that because as it stands right now, both the NBA, MLB, NHL, they're blowing them out of the water with their All-Star games.
I mean, give me a Pro Bowl celebrity game.
Like full tackle, full pads.
I mean,
Yes, I would love
honestly,
that.
I wouldn't mind, but maybe even just flag. Give me like MMG or someone out there, running a little post.
Give me Kevin Hart in the A gap.
I mean, yeah, if it had like I don't know. I mean, if you wanted to, you could have a light mix. Drewski. But anyway, you can have a light mix with like professional athletes as well. But I mean, it's losing the credibility ever since it left Hawaii as well.
Yeah.
I mean, that's when it was like, okay, you get a weekend vacation with your family. It's all taken care of. All we ask of you is to play, half rear end football for about 20 minutes because they all played about a quarter anyway.
Yeah.
Front Office Sports has said that it's down 18%, third straight year of annual decline for the Pro Bowl. I mean, like you said, Noah, we've really just lost any sort of like value in even showing up. There are so many. I mean, I enjoy the fact that we have Joe Flacco and Shedeur Sanders in the Pro Bowl, but there is no discernible reason that Joe Flacco and Shedeur Sanders should be in the Pro Bowl this year.
At least they accepted the invite.
They did.
Unlike Justin Fields. How's Justin Fields going to decline a Pro Bowl invite?
I mean,
He didn't
Like,
do
you
good
gotta
this
think.
season, though.
Well, no,
At some point-
how do you get offered an invite to the Pro Bowl with those stats and then go, nah? Like that's your chance to like do something.
You could also hold that against people who are trying to sign you when it comes like, hey, I'm a Pro Bowl.
yeah.
Quotations. I'm a
Tyler
Pro Bowl
Huntley.
caliber.
Tyler
Yeah.
Huntley.
Yes, Justin Fields is Pro Bowl caliber, but he just doesn't have the Pro Bowl.
I mean, it also doesn't help that Pro Bowl this year was a Tuesday night, and I don't know if I remember that for the other flag football games, but Pro Bowl was like always on a Sunday.
Yeah.
It was always Sunday. They were always in Hawaii. That's what I remember. It means nothing now where they're – I mean, I like seeing like Garrett Bowles, a left tackle, catching touchdowns. Like, that's fun. I like that
Micah
fun
Parsons on
aspect.
the
Yeah.
wheelchair was fun.
What's it even streamed on?
It was on ESPN, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. So to now go finally now into the Super Bowl predictions of this team. Once again, Patriots, Seahawks. Who do we got and why?
I have the Seahawks. I mean, big JSN fan. Sam Darnold getting his first ring. A little surprising to me. I didn't think he'd really turn out to be much of anything in the NFL. But here he is, leading the Seahawks into the Super Bowl. I have Seahawks all the way. I didn't think anyone else was going to win it, maybe except for the Rams.
I am so unbelievably up on the Seahawks this year, just because, I mean, personal agendas wise, I love what that defense is doing, and I'm a big fan of Leonard Williams. He is an awesome defensive man, and he is a massive Magic the Gathering fan for the people who know me off air. Like, that is just one of those little niches that I cannot get enough of, because they're like asking him questions pregame about it. It's sweet, but like, I don't know. I just think that besides the fact that Seattle is an incredibly well-built team, I think it's just going to be a fun year.
Okay, I do want to ask a question here. We can all agree this has been the best NFL season in 10-ish years.
Yes, I mean, regular
without a
season
doubt.
games, crazy finishes.
I think this Super
Fantastic.
Bowl is going to reflect that, right? Both of these teams, a lot of people are saying the Seahawks are going to run away with this one. I don't see that happening at all. These teams evenly match up really well. The biggest difference is the fact that the Seahawks have a way better wide receiver room than the Patriots. That's about the only difference I can find. Well, and Kenneth Walker is way better than Tre'Gon Henderson. But still, there's keys for both of these teams to win, right? For the Patriots, if they air it out, they're hard to beat, right? In games where Drake May averages 10 or more yards per completion, they're 8-0, right? If Diggs has 100+ receiving yards, they're 5-0. If they can find Diggs and throw the ball deep, they have a shot at winning this. For the Seahawks, hit Drake May. We saw last week what happens. Even before, or not last week, but 2 weeks ago against the Broncos, what happened. Even before the weather, right? The Broncos defense arguably is better than the Seahawks defense is, and they were rattling Drake May. If the Seahawks can do that, I think that they have the chance to win. Me personally, I think the difference maker in this game, this could be biased, I don't care. Rashid Shaheed, right? You have JSN for the Seahawks. They've got Kenneth Walker. You've got two people to game plan on, right? If you could leave Rashid Shaheed open one time, it's 7 points. If you leave Rashid Shaheed open 2 times, it's 14 points. There's nobody on that field that is able to catch him. And because of that, I think the Seahawks win 24-20.
And don't forget special teams.
Yes.
Special teams, special players. And Shaheed, he's incredible when it comes to those kick and punt returns.
I'm going to take the Patriots on this one. I've been watching a lot of Matt Collins over the past few weeks, and he's been having his shoes off, so something just clicks right there. Matt Collins just having his shoes off just clicks.
Sure, man.
He's going to walk to the Super Bowl in Levi Stadium and is going to walk with no shoes on, and they're going to win 28-24 with a goal line pick.
Okay. Well, like, one of our soundboard operators just said, "Hell yeah!" So I mean, it was
Come on,
like
credit
whatever,
set-
you know.
yeah.
What a,
Hi, Andrew.
Good,
Thank
good
you for
answer.
shouting
Yeah,
him
shout
out.
out Andrew. And yeah, thanks for sharing your interest out on our podcast on why you.
Do you know
think it's
if
the Pats?
he's left for the stadium by now or not? Because, I mean, don't get me wrong, from Massachusetts all the way to Levi Stadium, that's a pretty far walk.
Yeah,
If
he
he's
might
walking,
have.
if he's walking all the way to the stadium.
Either that, I think the stewardess on the plane are gonna say, "Can you please put on some shoes?"
No, they won't.
But yes, I also think, to now go back to the game, Seattle Seahawks, I also think this is in favor of the Seahawks. I'm kind of going more low scoring, and I like the idea. I think both defenses are very talented in their front seven, and they got the pieces in their secondary as well to kind of lock down both teams. Hopefully it's not as bad as that Pats-Rams Super Bowl where it was like 13-3, but I am expecting like a 20-14 style finish for the Seahawks.
Really quick, I have one stat I saw. Since 2000, every team that has traveled east to play a team that is traveling west has won. So if the numbers are right, Seahawks have to travel west to get to San Francisco. Patriots have to travel east to get to San Francisco. Every time since 2000, the team traveling east has won. There's a pattern for the Patriots here.
Wait, you said who's traveling
It's a hell of
east?
a hell of a shot to call.
The Patriots have to travel
Wait.
west.
Sorry, backwards. The team.
Wait.
Okay, the team traveling west wins. The Patriots are traveling west. The Eagles traveled west last year. The Chiefs traveled east. Eagles won. It's since 2000. I want to say it's 9 or 10-0. The team traveling west is. My bad, west.
I was about to say, that's a long
yeah.
trip. If New England's
Yeah,
taking
yeah,
it
yeah.
all the way east around
In
the
my
day.
head, I was
global.
thinking, never
Around the
eat
globe.
soggy waffles. I was like,
Wow.
what?
Open the schools.
Way to remember those cardinal directions.
Open the
Dog.
schools.
But of course, once again, the Super Bowl will be on Sunday in Santa Clara, California, where the Niners play, and that's going to be a fun Super Bowl. Bad Bunny, halftime performance. Don't watch the other halftime performance.
Lil Wayne Clash Royale.
So now, to go to our next segment, we have Read and React, where we read and react to the biggest headlines in news and sports. And 2026 Olympics begin this Friday. The first event set to play within the next couple weeks. Alpine skiing, curling, figure skating, and women's ice hockey. And, in terms of the Olympics, who we thinking? Of course, U.S. has always won, but, Norway, very dominant.
I don't know if I could go with like a whole like gold total thing off the top of my head, but the one thing I'm really following for the Olympics is Lindsey Vonn. Lindsey Vonn tore her ACL just a couple days ago, and she went out and said, "Yeah, I'm still going to compete." That I was talking with a former WUB guy, Max Brunke. He said he heard an eagle screech when he saw that. So I don't know. I'm really interested to see how Lindsey does despite the torn ACL.
And another thing when it comes to the sports, which out of everyone at the table, do we know that there's actually an Olympian from Athens, Ohio participating?
Yeah.
No, I didn't know that. No.
Do you know the answer?
Not the name off the top of my
It's
head.
Gwen Phillips, the who's going to be the goaltender for the women's ice hockey team. She's actually from Athens and would skate and train at Bird Arena as an early kid, and then she transferred to Pittsburgh, went to college in Northeastern, became like a legend in college, and she won playoff MVP in her rookie year last year, and she's the starting goaltender for the Ottawa Charge. So, hey, now you guys got something to watch now because Athens resident.
Heck yeah.
I'll be tuning in to women's ice hockey to watch the big hits. And, good old Athens faithful.
And to now go into...
I
Oh,
would
go
like to
ahead.
make one point. I am going to be unbelievably dialed on Danny Casper and John Schuster and the rest of the USA curling team, the most important sport in the Olympics. Anybody who's dialed in curling knows this is
Curling
this is
already
the
started.
team.
Curling is fun.
Curling already started. There's a couple of games that have already started. Like I think yesterday maybe.
Oh, well,
Yeah,
I just
they're-
misinformed everybody.
They're already starting qualifiers and stuff.
Oh, well.
I'm going to be really dialed in on Olympic freestyle aerials. One of my close friends growing up is actually in the Olympics, so I think that's pretty cool to watch. So good luck him. Shout out him. But let's move on to the next one.
All right, so now to go on to the next moment for Read and React, and I think you might be able to talk about this. Artemi Panarin to the LA Kings for a conditional third rounder and prospect Liam Greentree as Panarin's going from New York to Los Angeles. What do we think?
It's always good to see a former Blue Jacket find success. I mean, it's been a long time since Panarin was wearing navy and red, but I mean, after seeing him find success out in New York and now move on to one of the legacy, like one of the big name teams, it's really good, especially because he's a player that's been moved a few times, but he has always been one of the high value like assets for teams to kind of work around, especially in his ability to score. So it'll be good to see him move on.
Yeah, I mean, LA can make a playoff push, but another thing is like Artemi's always been somebody who has to play in a big city, and that's why he couldn't stay in Columbus. Columbus is not a big hockey market. He's played in Chicago. He's played in New York. He's now going to LA. Clearly, he wants to go to the cities where he could club, party, and do all that. So now for our next Read and React, NBA trade deadline reactions. And we first got to talk about probably the most important one that we've seen thus far. Well, actually, there is another one that we're going to save for the Cavs segment, of course. But NBA champ, future Hall of Famer, Anthony Davis to the Washington Wizards in a crazy deal. I mean, we see 8 players and 5 draft picks. What is our reaction to this?
Wow.
Yeah.
Didn't expect that one. I'll be honest. I saw some buzz like last night on Twitter talking about how Anthony Davis could be on the move, but I didn't expect this. Washington's all in. You've got Trae Young, you've got AD, you've got a young core there led by Sarr, and this Washington team is going to be legit. Maybe not this year because of the injuries and stuff like that.
I mean, they've only won like 14 games, but they're setting up.
But
next year.
if they get a lottery pick with this lineup, this draft class coming up is pretty solid. This team could absolutely be a top 4 seed in the East next year.
Yeah, I mean, like you mentioned, get a little bit of lottery luck. You could get Boozer, Dibansa, you could get Peterson. I mean, you could find a way to trickle into that top 3 and get one of those picks. And next thing you know, like you mentioned, they got stars all around. But when it comes to kind of like these other trades that we see on our screens, what other ones kind of catch our eye a little bit?
I like the Jared McCain Oklahoma City Thunder. I think that is a really good pickup for OKC, especially right now, SGA's out until All-Star break. So you can use another guard right there, depth that play, and you're good at least until All-Star break. And Jared McCain was a first-round pick. It's not like he's just some nobody. I know he's averaging like 6.8 points per game this year, but I really think Jared McCain can be that backup or that sixth man for the Thunder.
Yeah, I mean, Thunder had so much draft capital as well. Why not give up some of it, you know? But when it comes to kind of just these other trades, we see Kobe White and Mike Conley. Actually, what do you guys? I see you guys are wanting to say something.
I was gonna say, I mean, the Bulls have just been making a bunch of moves, and I get that they're trying to accrue as much value as possible to draft and kind of continue to find their identity in the current state of the league, but they're just in purgatory right now. I mean, you're just acquiring a bunch of middling players that are not going to produce very well, especially after you've seen the continued downward spiral that they've been on.
Yeah, and what Connor's talking about, like Kobe White and Mike Conley are going to the Hornets. They get Colin Sexton in return, but when it comes to, they also had that Jaden Ivey trade, who's a former top 5 pick. So, I mean, the potential's still there. You also get a player from a division opponent, which may or may not be nice, but also Kevin Huerter and Dario Saric is going to the Pistons. Of course, Huerter was a little bit of a younger guy. Detroit also gets a first-round pick. So it's like you mentioned, they're being like overly aggressive for just like decent talent.
Yeah, no real clear vision.
I do want to go back to the McCain trade and realize just that this is not good for the league. Right? Not in the sense of like, oh, this is bad for basketball. This is bad for anybody that has to play the Oklahoma City Thunder. Right? Yes, I get it. Shea's hurt. They need a backup point guard. But I think people forget just how good Jared McCain was before he got hurt his rookie year.
I just kind of want to quickly point out the Chris Paul one. And, you know, him going to the Raptors, but then the Raptors telling him, hey, do not come to our facilities, pretty much. You know, stay at home, go watch us play and eat a ham sandwich.
All right, so now we're going to continue with trade deadline talk in our Cavs segment. We probably won't even talk about the games as of recently because we got to talk about the trade deadline. And James Harden is a Cav. Conor Mallonn, what's our thoughts?
There are a lot of emotions with this trade to go through. And the conversation that I've had with some of the other Cavs fans who like to sit at this table is that the more we think about it from a non-fan perspective, it makes clear sense as to why they make this move. But as someone who is a fan of the Cleveland Cavaliers, I just don't like it.
Is it because it's like a Cleveland draftee and like he's been a part of the system for a while?
Absolutely, because like you take your top 5 draft pick in the 2019 draft and you build around him. Like you think of Darius Garland, Colin Sexton, like the Sexland like is post LeBron Cleveland basketball. Yes, it's a funny name.
Sorry.
It's stupid,
Okay.
but like Cleveland basketball after LeBron was Darius Garland, Colin Sexton. Like it was small ball guards, a lot of like great shooting, and you would facilitate with your big men to do what you can and kind of work around what you've got. A well-rounded roster around a healthy Darius Garland was an incredible experience. I mean, you saw the run the Cavs go on last year. They play great. They fall off towards the end of the year when the playoffs hit just because they slow their momentum at the end of the season. Injury bug kind of hits them late, and they fall off. But, like, God, does it hurt to see someone you love leave.
Okay, so then should Cavs fans be happy because it's James Harden, former MVP, future Hall of Famer? Is it like a scheme fit? Like he doesn't quite maybe the dynamics between him and Donovan might not be there.
There are a couple of different ways that you can look at James Harden coming to Cleveland. Like, you're losing out on Darius Garland. Yes, he is a massive piece of the core. He was also probably going to be the first guy you move out of the core four that you've built in Cleveland. When you bring in James Harden, you're getting someone who is just an all-around bigger body. I mean, Darius Garland's 6'1", James Harden's 6'5". James Harden is a great post defender. He's not entirely great on defense. He can sometimes be a bit of a traffic cone, but he is an all-NBA player. He is an incredibly high-value scorer. It's really going to be how we can facilitate him in and out of a lineup around Donovan Mitchell, because he's going to want the ball. Is it going to be James Harden and facilitating in and out with Jared Allen and working to kind of create scoring opportunities that way? Or is it going to be more of like a Brooklyn Nets situation where we've got him kind of being like a whole entity to himself outside of the roster that we have?
Gotcha. I mean, when it comes to the Cavs, of course, they're in win now mode. I mean, last year they had 64 wins, and now it's like, okay, Donovan, you want to keep Donovan Mitchell happy? Is it bringing in a former superstar who has plenty of playoff experience, who's made it far? He just hasn't made it to the NBA Finals outside of the 1 year in Oklahoma City all the way back. So I guess for the people outside who aren't Cavs fans or don't follow him heavy, what's the perspective like for us at the table?
I don't like the trade, personally. I don't think that it's a smart move at all. Like, historically speaking, James Harden, since he's left the Rockets, has been so erratic, so unpredictable. You don't know if you're going to get a good player or not. You're trading a consistently good point guard and a second-round pick for that dice roll. I don't think it's a smart move at all.
I mean, I think in terms of just the value of it, yes, you lose Garland, somebody who's loved by the city, but even then, the draft pick was only a second rounder,
But I hate that argument, right? The second round draft picks in the NBA are so much more valuable than people say.
Sam Merrill, there are so many ways to turn a lower round draft pick into such a high value player, and the Cavs are incredible with that.
And then you just give that away along with your point guard for a 36-year-old shooting guard who has consistently beefed with his GMs, who has consistently quit on his team, who has consistently been just you can't depend on the guy.
He's needy. I mean, he demands a lot.
He demands the ball, too, which is a big one when you've got Donovan Mitchell there.
It's opening the championship window, in air quotes, as people like to use as a term, as wide as you possibly can open it, but it also means that in 2 years' time, if there is not a ring on Donovan Mitchell's finger that says NBA champion, he is going to get out of Cleveland, and it is going to bring this entire system crashing down.
Yeah. I mean, like we mentioned, they're in win now mode. But the other big trade that they had was DeAndre Hunter. What do we think about this one from the Cavs' perspective?
I have been very doom and gloom about the Cavs for the first half of this segment and for the better part of the last 2 days. But, this is good. The DeAndre Hunter trade is massive for what I just talked about. The Cavs want to win a championship. DeAndre Hunter was a great move for the Cavs to pick up to really invigorate that team and keep them moving in the right direction. He took a considerable step back in his production this year, but you're trading him for two guys that take the two things that you pick up DeAndre Hunter for and kind of max it out. I mean, Dennis Schroeder and Keon Ellis are incredible both as shooters and at being able to stretch that defense. And I think they're going to end up bringing not just another depth, more depth to this team, but also playoff experience that will end up proving dividends.
Yeah, it's going to be, well, we're going to figure out real quick how these two trades work out for the Cavs as they got, about 25, 30 games left in the regular season or so. And they're climbing up the standings. They've won, 8 out of their last 10?
8 out of the last 10, and the only two teams they lost to were a Suns team that got the better of them in a very off night, and the Oklahoma City Thunder.
Yeah, and so now tonight, of course, like right after the trade, I mean, they just pretty much swapped locker rooms. They will play the Clippers tonight, so it's going to be, I believe this will be the first games. None of those two players are sitting out.
I don't know if either of them will be playing, but it'll be a weird
dynamic.
Weird vibe tonight.
All right, so now we're going to go to our final segment. This is Upset Watch, where we pick our favorite underdogs of the week. We were 0-0 last week, so, I mean, come on, let's bounce back. Reese, let's start with you. Be quick.
All right, I got Dayton over VCU. ESPN predictor has Dayton with a 26% chance to win. Javen Bennett is going to lead the Flyers to a dub.
Connor, who we got?
I'm taking another team from the football season that did me well in men's basketball. I'm taking Georgia Tech over Cal. They've got 3 players who are averaging 10 or more points per game. Shout out to Kawasi Reeves Jr. with 15.5. And Lamar Washington, who's got 31 steals, averaging a steal and a half a game. I mean, this team plays real good defense, and I think they're going to get the better of Cal.
Noah?
Give me Mississippi State over Arkansas. Josh Hubbard, really, really good at basketball. Arkansas has had a rough patch here and there. They're very inconsistent. I think this is a game that they're going to drop.
Jamie, in the script, you have one player over a whole team?
Yeah, I have Michael Porter Jr. over the Orlando Magic. I think Michael Porter Jr. is the whole Nets team. He should have been an all-star. I don't know why, averaging 26 points a game. I think that's really good. But they only have a 24% chance of winning. But I think the Nets will be like the Cavs and get a good quality win over the Magic.
So, I mean, it's just never pass the rock, and he's going to win it.
He doesn't need to. He just makes everything. Michael Porter Jr. is that guy. Look at his highlights. It will be 30 minutes of him just putting up random stuff, and it'll go in.
Those are the best social media reels. I mean, they really are. It's just like catch and shoot over like 2 people, and he's knocking them down as well. But now we're going to go to our SportsBeat awards. OU Game of the Week is Ohio softball against USC Upstate, who are the host of the Founders Classic, and like we mentioned, 2 of the best mid-majors. What was it again? It's the 4th and 5th game of the weekend, but the first one starts at what time?
I don't remember the time, but the first one is this weekend, I believe, on Friday.
Against first one is
St.
against
Francis, and the other 2 are against Towson.
I think the Sundays are the ones against USC Upstate. So that's going to be our OU Game of the Week. Our SportsBeat Player of the Week is going to be Javen Simmons, who had, of course, that big game against Buffalo where he had 24 points, 13 rebounds. He also had 17 points and 8 rebounds against Western Michigan. Dominant performance, the best Javen's looked all year, and what is his first Player of the Week selection on SportsBeat. Thank you for listening to SportsBeat on WOUB. I'm your host today, Jake Collins, and with me at the desk today was
Reece Merkel,
Jamey Spears,
Noah Cavin,
and Conor Mallonn.
You can listen to us on WOUB 1340 AM radio at 9 p.m. on Thursdays, or just search us online at woub.org/listen, SoundCloud, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube. Don't forget, follow us on our Instagram at SportsBeat WOUB. We'll see you next week. This has been SportsBeat.